Alright, it's time. It's time to paint this bastard up. Time to get the primer on it. I got my primer, I got my paint. So I'm gonna set up here and start getting her painted and primed. And I'm not using any of this, I'm not reusing any of that stuff inside the body, so it's just staying there for me as tape. So anyway, yeah, time to get her going. There we go. Nice and smooth. Ready for paint. There we go. There's the second coat. It's not fully covered yet, but it's starting to look good. A bit of heat blasting on it there, just while it waits out here, while it's being painted, and then I'm going to move it inside where it's nice and warm, and then it can dry for a few days. But for now, it's actually pretty warm in the garage. I got it to about 20 degrees in here, so it's pretty warm in here. It's warm enough to paint. And so yeah, second coat. It's just about 5:45 now in the morning. I've been up since about 4, just kind of prepping it and getting it ready to paint. But yeah, it's starting to look good. I'm pretty excited. It's really funny. I'm looking at this color in person and it doesn't really seem to be coming out on camera. On camera it still looks like that really primer gray to me. But it's not, and hopefully after a couple more coats it'll be real obvious what color this is. So I'm going to wait another 10 or 15 minutes for this to dry a bit, and then we'll put on hopefully a third and final coat. But so far I really like this ReRanch paint. It lays on really well. Really well. Pretty happy so far. So I have I have good feelings about the clear coat stuff. Anyway, fingers crossed, and back in a bit. Oh, also one other thing. I can't remember where I learned this tip. I'm sure I saw it on some painting or refinishing channel, but I just pour hot water from the tap. Just basically leave the tap on for a few seconds until it gets as hot as it can get. Then I throw it into some sort of metal just to retain the heat a bit, and just pop the paint can in there. And I leave it in there for a little bit before I start painting, and I leave it in there in between coats. And then with a good shake, paint seems to flow pretty well, even cheap paint, if you do this with cheap paint. And you know, obviously good paint is better, and this is pretty good paint. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with this Guitar ReRanch paint. It's just a shame it's so hard to get here in Canada, but I'm not sure if I've mentioned this. I know I've mentioned it on my Facebook, but I have a friend who does car stuff in the US and owns a garage down there or something like that. So he's able to order this to his garage and just bring it back for me, which is really awesome of him. In fact, that's the nice fellow whose Dean Zielinski guitar I refinished. He's a funny guy. I always want to call him Joe because he looks like Joe Satriani. Anyway, you know who you are, buddy. Thanks, I really appreciate you doing this for me. This was awesome. You're a swell guy. Alright kids, feel like guts. So is it looking a little bit more like the color that it looks like to me here? I wonder if that's coming out on film. It definitely is looking like the color it's supposed to be, which is dun-da, that. Which too also looks to me on film a little weird. Weird. Maybe it's my white balance on this camera. Anyway, yeah, that's the color, Batman. It'll look better in better light. But I reckon 1-2 more light coats and we're golden. Alright, can we see the color sufficiently well there? I think so. Turned out great. Love this color. Can't wait to see a neck on it. Alright, let's go hang her up so she can dry for a few days. Wow, the white balance on this camera must be really off. Because that does not look in the camera at all what it looks like in person. It looks way more blue. Maybe I can fix that in the edit. But anyway, there she's gonna sit. It's got 5 nice light thin coats. I waited about 10-12 minutes in between each coat until it looked like it was not so shiny. So this is the last coat. I kind of put a nice thick coat on for the last one just to even things out a bit. But yeah, it's gonna sit there amongst all the rubble in the basement where it's nice and warm with some sleeping bags underneath it in case she should fall, but it's been sat there for quite a few days with the primer on it, so I don't think that's going anywhere. I hope. Anyway, yeah, that would be a shame, but at least it'll land on something nice and soft in case it does. Won't get all screwed up. And hopefully if it did fall, it would already be dry, so there would be no damage at all, because it would suck to have to sand all that away and repaint it. So I'm going to leave it there for a few days and forget about it and be really patient, because I'm beginning to learn that patience and prep is the key to a good finish. And I can already see a few little places where I didn't do such a great job. But then again, I was cleaning up some sort of the, sort of some of the mess from before. But anyway, overall it looks pretty good. You're gonna have to examine it pretty closely to see any little niggles that I see. But again, I've been staring at this thing for a couple of weeks solid now, so I know every little nick and nook and cranny of this body now. Anyway, okay, that's enough rambling. A couple minutes. I guess I'll turn this back on in a week or so when that's all nice and dried and cured and ready for a bit of cleanup before I put the clear coat on it, and then wait for another week or two. Alright, there she blows, Captain. Been drying 7 days. Got all the sleeping bags underneath it in case it fell, which it didn't, so my little system worked, which is good. So if I can just move past all the crap and get it. Let's take it down and get it ready for its next step, which is clear coat. Looks good. Now, I talked to a friend of mine who does refinishing and stuff. He makes some really nice stuff. He lives up in Kingston. And let's get a light on. There we go. Anyway, he lives up in Kingston, and he said that if the body looks rough before I clear it, I could just hit it with a little bit of 2000. He said I could just hit it with a bit of 2000. But you know what? It looks pretty good. Doesn't look like there's a lot of little squiggles or anything. And you know what? I don't want to mess with it. And all that stuff will disappear in the clear anyway. So I think I'm fine with it the way it is. I think I'm just going to go ahead and clear it. And then hopefully all that stuff will disappear in the clear. I think it will. No runs or anything, so. Alright, let's get this thing ready for clear. Clean up a few little spots here, and then, oh, I see one spot that needs to be cleaned up. Okay, I guess I am going to hit a few little spots here with some 2000. Alright, I was hoping to throw clear on this right away, but instead I had to do one more light coat of blue. I sanded it down with the 2000 grit really, really light, and unfortunately some of the little things in the finish, some of the little dust specks or whatever, when they chipped out right down to the primer. And they were just tiny little flecks, but it was bugging me enough that I thought, you know what, I can't leave it like this. I've gone to all this bloody trouble, and I might as well keep taking my time, because I waited 7 days, and I'm not known for being patient. But now it looks great. Now it looks perfect. So I'm just going to let this dry another day or so, and then I'm going to go ahead and spray clear on it. So back into the laundry room she goes to sit quietly for another day or two while she dries. And hopefully the next time we pull the camera out, we're getting ready to throw some clear on this bastard. Alright, so as you can see, this is my clever little hanging system. Just a really long screw through a piece of 2x2, which is screwed to the body, obviously from the back. Yeah, she looks good now. Now it looks nice and smooth and clean all the way around. There's no little bumps anymore, there's no little flecks. Like I said, I just put a nice little light coat all the way around the body. Just one more just to touch it up. Because there was just one or two. It was perfect. I could have gone and sprayed clear on it, but there was, right here somewhere, there was just a tiny little fleck that was driving me crazy, and I was like, well, I'll just go paint over that little bit. And then I thought, you know what, I'll just go give the whole body one more light little coat, and I'm not doing any more sanding to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw clear on it, because I took a careful look all around the body after I sprayed it, and it doesn't seem to be any more little bumps. So that's muy bueno. Muy bueno! Yeah, yay, yay! So, okay. See you in a few days, baby.